Have you ever been in one of those arguments with your spouse where you stopped halfway through it and thought, how did we even get here? Or maybe it was after the fact and you're like, man, I don't even remember what we were arguing about. You started talking about something small, maybe like who left dishes in the sink, who left clothes on the floor, who forgot a kid, who didn't get a kid to bed, whatever it may be. 15 minutes later, it feels like you're on the opposite sides of the battlefield. Here's the truth. Your spouse is not the enemy, but in the heat of the conflict, it can feel like it. And if we're not careful, we start fighting each other instead of fighting for each other. Today, I want to help you reframe how you see your spouse so you can move from a posture of opposition to one of partnership. This can literally change the way you approach every conversation, every disagreement, and every challenge together. Here's what I know after 23 years of marriage. Every one of these moments is an opportunity to divide you or develop you. The choice is yours. So let's get into it. We're going to cover 3 sections that will help give you the framework to start changing your mindset into one that will help you guys turn these little moments into something that can develop you versus dividing you. Section number 1, your spouse is your God-given teammate. We have to understand this. They are given to you from God to be a teammate, to be a helper. Let's go all the way back to the beginning of the Bible. In Genesis 2:18, it says, "It is not good for a man to be alone. I will make a helper suitable for him." Now that word helper in Hebrew is azer. It doesn't mean assistant. It means powerful ally, somebody that's on your team. It's the same word that's used in the New Testament when God gives us his Holy Spirit. It's God is our helper so that we don't have to go through these times of trouble alone. That's what your wife is for you. God didn't design marriage to be 2 people consistently trying to prove who's right and who's wrong. He designed it for 2 people to be working together as one. Think of it as a basketball team. You've got different roles, the point guard, the forward, the center, but you're wearing the same jersey. If one player scores, the team goes up. If one player gets injured, the team goes down. When we win together. When we lose together. We've probably been on a team at one time or another where we're pointing fingers at the other person. That's not a healthy culture within your team, just like it's not a healthy culture within your marriage. In marriage, when you win an argument, but you wound your spouse, guess what? The team loses. But when you fight for unity, the team grows stronger together. Sometimes we just need to look across the table and remind ourselves, hey, same jersey, same team. When we work with couples in our coaching program, we build a community text, like a group text. And believe me, I don't like group texts, but we build one with the 4 of us together, myself, my wife, the other wife, and the other husband. We always name that chat team their last name so that they can be reminded that they're on the same team. It's so important for us to know that we're fighting for each other, not against one another. Number 2, the real enemy is division, not your spouse. Ephesians 6:12 says, "For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms." Your husband or your wife is not your opponent, but the enemy of your soul knows that if he can divide you guys, he can weaken your impact. He can destroy your bloodline. He can ruin generations, not just now, but those to come, by driving a wedge between the 2 of you. So what does he do? He plants seeds. They don't care about you. You always have to be the one to win. They'll never change. You should have married somebody else. I knew that we never should have gotten married. We might as well just get divorced now and cut our losses. Little lies, old wounds, cultural narratives, all designed to turn your heart away from your teammate, away from your helper, away from the one that God has given you to create a legacy that will last. Let me give you an example. A couple came to us a few months ago. They were arguing about money. They weren't just arguing about it, they were fighting about it. They were considering divorce because of dollars and cents. But here's the deal. As we dug deeper, they weren't just arguing about dollars and cents. It was fear. One of them grew up with a scarcity mindset, didn't know when the next meal was going to be on the table, didn't know if they were going to have a roof over their head. But the other grew up with total financial freedom. They weren't enemies. They were both fighting an invisible giant, but aiming the blows at one another. When you start to remember that your spouse isn't the enemy, you can stop swinging at each other and start standing shoulder to shoulder, back to back, face to face against the real enemy. And number 3, team identity must be chosen daily. Daily. Being a team is a daily choice, not a one-time vow. Yes, you said I do at the altar, but every day after that, you still have to say, I do. Unity doesn't happen by accident. It happens by intentionality. And there's a few habits that can help you with that same team mindset. Habit number 1 is your language and your tone. Instead of saying, you never listen, say, how can we communicate better? Your language sets the tone for the partnership. It's part of the responsibility as a husband. We need to be the pastor of our wife's heart, the protector of her mind, and the provider of stability. So our language and our tone, it matters in every conversation, and we want to use it carefully when we're speaking to the person that God gave us as a helper. Number 2, take time outs during conflict. Sometimes the most spiritual thing that you can do is say, you know what? Let's just pause for a second and let's come back to this when we both have had a chance to settle down and think about what we're actually arguing about. Timeouts are not quitting, they're protecting the team. And number 3, have regular huddles within your marriage. Just like a team has huddles to make sure that they are aligned, that they know what play they're going to run when they step back out on the field or back on the court, couples need to have regular check-ins. We recommend having a daily, a weekly, a monthly, a quarterly, and an annual. Obviously, each one of those only can happen if we start with the daily. We want to build up some regular cadence with meeting daily so that when we meet weekly, this is a little bit longer meeting. When we meet quarterly, it's even a longer planning session to say, okay, what's coming up in the next quarter? Where have we seen some areas in our marriage where we've fallen short? How are we doing? Are we still aligned on our goals? Then when we get to our annual regular meeting that we're having, we now are in a position to where we can set vision for what our family should look like as we move forward. These small, consistent choices remind you and your heart that you're not opponents, you are actually allies. Okay, if you've stuck around this long, you actually care about your marriage and you want to do something to make sure that you and your spouse are on the same team so that you can stop fighting, using each of these opportunities as something to develop you versus divide you. So I'm going to give you a few simple ways to activate these 3 things into your marriage this week. Number 1, let's start with the team huddle. Set aside 10 minutes. We call this daily soul care. Just sit down, carve out 10 minutes to ask each other these questions. Number 1, where did our marriage win today? Number 2, the husband asks the wife this, how could I have shown you more love today? And then the wife would ask, how could I have shown you more respect today? Number 3, is there anything that I could have done different? And then number 4, how can I serve you in this season? These are very simple questions. We don't get to argue. We don't get to justify. We don't get to deny. We are simply looking for one-way feedback. And then if you guys want, add another one. What's one shared goal that you both have? What's something that you can be working towards spiritually, financially, relationally, whatever, physically, if you guys are into working out, what's one goal that you can hold one another accountable for? Sound good? Number 2, if you do get into conflict, which you will because you're married and you're communicating and conflict happens, but it's something that we can use to remember, develop us, not divide us. So when conflict comes up, just rephrase it. Stop saying, why are you like this? We never get along. We never should have gotten married. Instead, look for a solution that helps the both of you. Remember, if one of you wins and the other loses, you both lose. We've never walked away from a fight saying, yes, I'm so glad that she's mad at me and we're not going to talk tonight. We're not going to get to be intimate. It's going to be amazing. No, we're like, dude, why did that happen? So let's rephrase the conflict and use it for something to develop us, not divide us. And then number 3, going on a limb here, man, but this one matters. If comfortable, pray together. If not comfortable, before I even get into this, I've got another video that's out there that's how to pray for your spouse. Go check that one out. I'll drop it in the notes so that you have it as well. But you can begin praying together with one another. Pray for unity, pray against division, invite God back into the center of your marriage. It doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to be super complicated and using all this Christianese. It's just simple as saying, God, we're inviting you back into our marriage. Please forgive us for turning our back on you in this moment. All we want to do is create an atmosphere that honors you, and we want to create a culture that's going to impact others that come into our home. We want to be game changers in this thing called marriage. Sound good? Awesome. So here's the biggest takeaway. When you stop seeing your spouse as the enemy, you stop fighting against them and you start fighting with them for your marriage, for your family, and for your future. This is how we build a marriage that matters, not one that's just barely surviving or striving, one that is actually thriving. Hey, if this encouraged you today, hit the subscribe button for more weekly marriage updates. Share it with your spouse. Share it with somebody else that you think it can impact as well. It would mean the world to us, but make sure to hit that subscribe button so that you can be notified. We'll see you next time.